What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Common Coder. My name is Josh, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you the top 10 keyboard shortcuts for Visual Studio Code that you need to know. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so to go ahead and kick things off, I have a project open here that I created through Vite. And the very first keyboard shortcut that we're going to look at is how to open the terminal inside of Visual Studio Code. So for this project specifically, in order to run it, I need to run the development command inside of the terminal. And I want to do that inside of Visual Studio Code. So to open the terminal, the keyboard shortcut to do that is going to be Control-tilde. And when you do that, it will open an instance of your terminal and allow you to use terminal commands right here inside of Visual Studio Code. So I can say npm run dev, which starts up the Vite server. And then I can go ahead and click on this. And I can see here is my app. So pretty cool. Let's go ahead and close this. Now, if we press Control-tilde again, that will actually close the terminal. So say if I wanted to make some space, and be able to work with some of my files here. And then if I press it one more time, basically what this does is it toggles whatever terminals that you currently have open or running. So what's cool about this command is that when you toggle, it doesn't actually close the terminal down. It allows you to keep working and just toggle the visibility back and forth. Now, in a previous video, I had also mentioned that you can have multiple terminals open. So if I click this little plus here, I can open multiple terminals inside of Visual Studio Code. And same thing, if I use the Control-tilde here, it will keep those instances open. So what's cool is there's actually a shortcut to create a new instance of a terminal here in vscode. So if I wanted to not click the plus button and open more terminals here, I could do Control-shift-tilde, and that will actually open multiple instances of the terminal. So if I needed to run different terminal programs and keep them open, I can use the Control-shift-tilde command, and that will open an additional instance of the terminal here inside of VS Code. So Control-tilde toggles visibility on and off. Control-shift-tilde will open new instances of the terminal for you. And I can go ahead and trash these terminals just by clicking on the trash can here. All right, the next command that we're going to look at is how to open another instance of Visual Studio Code. So there could be times when you need to have multiple instances or multiple projects open, and there's a keyboard shortcut to do that as well. So on a Mac, it's going to be Command-Shift-N, and that will open a new instance of Visual Studio Code. And I can go ahead and select the folder that I wanted to open. So for example, let's say I also needed to work with this HTML document flow. I can go ahead and open this, and now I have not only this project open in one instance of Visual Studio Code, but I have my VS Code keyboard shortcuts one that we've been working with inside of another instance. So we can use Command-Shift-N to open as many instances of Visual Studio Code that we need, which is common for much larger projects, or if you have things like microservices and things like that, where you're working across different folders and different repositories. So Command-Shift-N on a Mac, Control-Shift-N on a PC, that will open a new instance of Visual Studio Code for you. All right, the next keyboard shortcut that we're going to look at is the Find in File. All right, so with any file open, I can press Command F on a Mac, and it will open the Find panel here inside the editor, and I can search for things inside of this file. So if I'm looking for, say, the word module, you can see that it found one of one, and it even highlights the text on the current file that you're looking at. So this also has a replace feature. So if you expand this down, I can replace module with something else if I wanted to. So that feature is built into this. You can also do some things as far as looking for specific variations of the text. So I can look for case matching. I can look for a specific word, so I can make it match the whole word and not just part of the word. So we covered that in a previous video, actually. And I can do regular expression search here as well. Again, I can replace, and I can have it replace instances one by one, or I can have it replace all of these. So lots of options here, but to toggle this, it's going to be Command F on Mac or Control F on Windows. Now, if you want to open, if you know you're going to be doing a replacement, you can use Command Option F on a Mac, and that will actually open the Find panel with the replace option already open. So it makes it really easy. Then you can just do your Find, tab into the replace, and do everything from the keyboard. On Windows, that command's a little bit different. On Windows, you'll use Control H. So on a Mac, it's going to be Command Option F. On Windows, it's going to be Control H. Now, if you want to search for something across multiple files in your project, then you're going to need to use the Find in Files, which has a keyboard shortcut as well. So to open the Find in Files search panel, the search panel that allows you to search through all of the files inside of your project, that's the one right here on the left sidebar over here in Visual Studio Code. That keyboard shortcut is going to be Command Shift F on a Mac, or it's going to be Control Shift F on a PC. And so that will open the search panel and allow you to search for things. So for example, if I was looking for Vite across all of my various files, you can see that it appears quite a bit across my project here, and I can click any of the results and kind of look and see where those instances are. And you can see they're even highlighted across all of my files, making it very easy to find what I'm looking for. So similar to the find in single file, if you want to open directly to do a replacement. So if I knew I was going to be doing a replacement across all these files, there's a keyboard shortcut for that as well. So if I use Command Shift H, that will open the search panel and automatically toggle the replacement option as well. So if I was going to replace Vite with something else, I can just go ahead and hit tab here and then type whatever I was going to replace it with. One of the other cool things with both of these commands is if you are in a file and you are looking for a specific piece of text. So for example, if I was looking for query selector across all of my files in my project, I can actually highlight the text that I'm looking for and then use those keyboard shortcuts, and it will automatically populate that string up here in the search box for you. So that way you don't have to type it in yourself. And so that works on the find in files, so the global search across all the various files in your project. It also works for the single as well. So for example, right here, if I was looking for maybe target, if I hit Command F here or Control F on a PC, I'm going to see that target is automatically populated up here in my search box. So that is the keyboard shortcut to find in file. So Command Shift F on Mac or Control Shift F on Windows. So similar to how I can open that find panel using a keyboard shortcut, I can actually open any of the default panels using associated keyboard shortcuts. So for example, if I want to open the Explorer, I can hit Command Shift E and that will open the Explorer. If I wanted to open the Run and Debug panel, I can press Command Shift D. If I wanted to open the Extensions panel, I could press Command Shift X. And if I wanted to open the source control tab, I could press Control Shift G, and that will open the source control panel. So you use the same commands on Windows, basically substituting command for control. And then for the source control panel, the command is exactly the same, since on a Mac, it's Control Shift G, which is the same as what it is on Windows. So that's how you can access your various panels using the keyboard shortcuts. Next keyboard shortcut we're going to look at is to open the search panel. So if I hit Command P on a Mac, that will allow me to search my various files that are inside of this project. So you can see that it's already populating some suggestions here, but I can type, various file names. So for example, if I started typing A, you can see I don't have any files that start with A, but I do have main, JavaScript, package.json, package.lock.json. It automatically has an A. So this will let me search through my files inside of my project. It's going to be the same for Windows. Instead of command, it's going to be control. So Control P is going to open that search bar and allow you to search through your various files by name. Another panel shortcut if we wanted to access the command panel. So the command panel allows us to run various commands inside of Visual Studio Code. So that command is going to be Command Shift P, and looks very similar to the search panel that we just saw, but this allows us to run different commands. So for example, I can format a document. I can format the document without saving if I had like an autosave configured. I can run linting if I had that configured. Pretty much any command that you can run inside of Visual Studio Code, you can run through this command palette. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in here and you can search through it, but there's too many things in here to list. So you really kind of have to know what it is that you're looking for. So on Windows, that's going to be Control Shift P, and on a Mac, it's going to be Command Shift P. So for example, I just wanted to format this document. I could say format document with, and I can choose formatter. Let's go ahead and format it with prettier. And you can see it did some light formatting on here since it was already formatted pretty decently, but it's very helpful to be able to run those commands directly from the command palette all through using the keyboard shortcuts. All right, the next keyboard shortcut that we're going to look at is how to work with multiple cursors. So Visual Studio Code has this cool ability to have multiple cursors active at the same time. So if I hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC, once I have one cursor, I can click the next line, add a cursor here, click the next line, add a cursor here, and click the next line, add a cursor here. And so if I wanted to like indent this a little bit more, or maybe add something before these tags, I could go ahead and do that. That wouldn't be valid here, but there might be scenarios in other parts of code where you might want to do something like that. So you can work with these multiple cursors, which is actually a really, really powerful feature inside of Visual Studio Code. But we can actually do it even easier than that. So for example, if I wanted to just use keyboard shortcuts to add additional lines here, I can hold down Option here and press Command at the same time, and then press my down or up arrow. And you can see that it will automatically add those cursors either down or up. So now I got a whole bunch of cursors here, which is not what I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear that again. Try it one more time. So hold down Option and Command and go ahead and expand my cursors. And now I can type whatever I want here. One other neat keyboard shortcut that we can use related to the sidebar panel is just to be able to toggle that panel, the currently open panel, on or off. And just say you needed some additional space in your coding editor, you didn't want to be, bothered by all the files or whatever you got going on in the sidebar, you can use Command B or Control B on Windows to toggle that sidebar open and close. So you can see that I close it over here and open it back up, and it respects whatever sidebar panel that I was currently on. So for example, if I was on the source control tab and toggle that with Control B, and that will open and close it. All right, the last keyboard shortcut that we're going to look at that's also related to cursors is one that allows you to select all instances of the current selection. So this is super helpful, especially when you're working with HTML, because it allows you to basically select different instances of a particular tag. So for example, let's go ahead and add another div here. Actually, let's go ahead and add, we'll just add another div. So let's go ahead and add another div here. And we'll just say, hello from my Vite app. All right, so let's just say instead of Vite app, we actually had like a name we wanted to give this project. Rather than finding and replacing all instances of that, we can actually use a keyboard shortcut, which is going to be Command-Shift-L. And you can see here that it highlighted both instances of Vite and actually put a cursor on there. And it would allow me to add additional things here. So I can delete Vite and just say cool app, right? And it'll do the replacement for us there. And I can, basically type and utilize those multiple cursors. So a really good use case for this would be if you were inside of a JavaScript file and you wanted to rename a variable. So for example, let's just say I have this counter variable here and I wanted to name it something else. So instead of counter, maybe I want to call it foo for whatever reason. So what I can do is go ahead and click on that and click Command-Shift-L. And now you can see that it's highlighted all instances of counter inside of this file. And I can just change this. So I can say my counter. Actually, we used foo, so we'll just say foo. So now that's all been replaced with foo. I can go ahead and click escape, and then it'll take me back to that terminal. And now my variable has been renamed with foo all the way across this file. Now we could also use find and replace for that as well, but using the multiple cursors kind of gives us some additional flexibility, and we can see those changes happening in real time. So the keyboard shortcut for that is going to be Control-Shift-L on Windows and then Command-Shift-L on Mac. All right, I got two more quick ones as a bonus. One of them is going to allow you to move lines up and down your files. So for example, if I go into my index.html and let's just say this div here, I want actually to be underneath this one over here. I can go ahead and just put my cursor on that line or navigate through the keyboard since we're doing keyboard shortcuts, and then hold either Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC. And I can just press up and down and I can move that line to wherever I want it. So if I wanted it below this hello from my Vite app, I can go ahead and drag it over there. The other keyboard shortcut that's very similar to that allows you to duplicate a line of code. So for example, let's just say instead of a div, I have a unordered list here. And then inside of my unordered list, I have some list items. And let's say list item. All right, let's say I wanted to duplicate this line, so I could copy and paste, or what I can do is hold down Option again and then hold Shift at the same time, and then now press down on my keyboard or up, and basically it will add those additional list items. And that's going to be Alt Shift arrow keys on a Windows machine. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you so much for coding along with me today. If you like this video, please give me a like down below. And if you're new here, please subscribe. We'll be exploring Visual Studio Code in more detail, along with doing some actual coding projects, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, things like that. So if you find any of that interesting, would definitely love to have you along for the journey. So until next time, be sure to stay curious, never stop learning, and I will see you all in the next video.